This is the Keller Chronicles, Cook with Your Heart. Stories, lessons, and flavors from Chef Duane Keller, a chef who has spent 5 decades cooking for presidents, royalty, and people just like you.
I'm Chef Duane Keller. Welcome to the Keller Chronicles. This is our debut, and I have a good friend, Jason McBride, Chef Jason McBride, who I call the Swiss Army knife of hospitality. Jason comes with an extensive background as a chef, 20 years, and a global hospitality influencer. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Chef. It is one of my greatest honors to be on this show with you. Your inaugural maiden voyage. It's incredible. And should we pause for O Canada? Because I don't know if it's just going to be you and I who are going to get it.
It's been a while.
I'm so thrilled to be here, and I'm so thrilled for you to have this show. It's awesome. Just so awesome. We're going to have a great time.
Jason, the last time we were on together was back during these days.
Oh, jeez. It's
It was
been
St.
a
Patty's Day.
while. It's been a while. And full disclosure, if anybody who's watching or listening doesn't know, Chef Keller was gracious, absolutely gracious, to come on to Real Hospitality Live, which is a show that I was a host on. Came on twice. We talked through the pandemic. We talked about people in hospitality. We talked about how to help folks in hospitality. We had our good friend Kevin Brosh from the Thirsty Traveler and Iron Chef America on with us. It was a really great talk during a really rough time, and it's incredible to connect again. Thanks for having me, Chef.
Oh, great to have you. What have you been up to?
Oof. Well, lots and lots of these things these days. For the last 3 years, actually 3 years ago, I got approached from an organization in Canada to help to support cooks and bakers in Red Seal trades programs. And if you don't know, in Canada, I mean, you know, Chef, but in Canada, the Red Seal is your block 1, block 2, block 3, and then you get your certified your certification as a cook or a baker, and you can go on from there. But that is your culinary training, your culinary schooling. The opportunity that I had was to work as a national partnership specialist and a training and development coach to work with cooks and bakers to help them either enter, advance, or complete their Red Seal certification. And the program was set up by the federal government to support folks with disabilities. And when I say disabilities, it's a broad swath. I mean, I'm talking about folks who are neurodivergent, folks with injuries or illnesses, and it includes very many aspects. And the program, or through this program, we put 136 apprentices through different stages to help them, again, with their testing, to help them with productivity supports. Lots of folks with test anxiety, to help them, coach them better ways to learn, better ways to approach things in the kitchen, and a lot of conversations with federal governments, provincial governments, trade unions, and employers on how to best support their workforce. I've done a deep dive for the last several years into sustainable workforce development, and in that way, it's really a deeper and higher focus on how to best support employees and how to train folks so that they can best understand how to get the best productivity out of folks.
Well, you know, Canada is dear to my heart. I'm originally from Canada. Worked there last in Vancouver during the World Expo, so it's been a while. But I was up on Lake Joe in 2015, right after Kobe got to be released back to North America. Mm-hmm. And I did a really nice event for the Smile Zone and cooked a very nice dinner all around a piece of Kobe. Nice. But, you know, how is Canada doing? Everybody wants to know down here in the States.
Well, Canada is elbows up, my friend. We we are Canadians. We are proud. We are good neighbors. We love a good meal. We love a good time, and we love a good laugh. And we're not afraid of a fight. So, and I
friendly.
have to, it's a good portion of where we are in these particular times. And we're having lots of internal conversations, but we're also a country and a community that comes together. So there's a lot happening in Canada where before we had a lot of different things like interprovincial trade barriers, where things even like wine and produce and different products had different taxes and barriers going in between provinces, which in hospitality is a barrier unto itself. So now we're getting to the point where we can do things like import and export within our own provinces. So that's helping our GDP. It's helping our internal trade. There are lots of industries that are having a hard time, but in Nova Scotia, for example, where I'm based currently, we've had a record year for tourism.
Beautiful country there, and the seafood.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you can't beat it. I'm about a 30 pace walk from the ocean currently. So it's you don't get it fresher than that.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm in Georgia, and I really miss it. I miss I'm kind of known for seafood, and I miss the Chesapeake Bay. I was on the DC Metro for 2 decades, and I just miss the region there. And Nova Scotia is just gorgeous, beautiful.
We're still in times here where you can, oftentimes in an empty car lot, there's the seafood truck. So you wheel up and you can buy your fish from the fisherman there. You can buy your lobster from the lobsterman there. It's those things don't change. And when we talk about buy local, that's about as buy local as you can get.
How are the hospitality demands?
I will tell you that
after a pandemic,
it's a different animal, and I never would have believed it if you had told me before the state that we're in now. So it's good and bad, right? So, like I said, we're having record tourism. That comes with its own challenges. Comes with training challenges. Comes with hiring challenges, and we have different challenges in regards to who's available to work. So, and also we have an incredible and ridiculous high cost of living in Canada. So with the challenges, are we able as an industry to keep up with paying people, supporting people? And that causes a tough draw. So we had we still have, but temporary foreign worker programs and work programs where people are coming in from other countries and working in mostly QSR jobs, but in lots of cases in kitchens, which causes benefits if you look at it that way, but also challenges because you have to look at those too. Because we're talking about cross-cultural training. Not everybody trains the same way. Not everybody learns the same way. So there are different cultures who feel that or who are trained in that the manager or the trainer or the teacher knows everything, and if they tell you the one way to do it, then that's it. And you're not supposed to ask questions. So unfortunately, what happens is in some cases, you will tell an employee how to do something, but they will never come back and say, "But how?" I don't know exactly the details because they're afraid to come and ask because it's against their culture. So when we're talking about training and development for hospitality, even for different cultures, we have to educate ourselves as educators and trainers to be able to have these conversations. And the same thing with cross-generational, because we are in a spot where it is a high cost of living, and we're having conversations about folks who are staying in the industry far longer than their knees can handle it or their back can handle it, and sometimes our psyche can handle it. But we also have young people coming in, and we have to have conversations about how are we training and how are we putting different generations together as far as sustainable workforce development within the hospitality industry, and saying that you and I come from a school where I know that if I coached or trained or managed in the way that that I was coached and managed when I was 14 through 18, I'd be 10 years in prison.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So these things change, and they're challenges, but they're not challenges that we can't meet, but challenges we have to educate ourselves and keep sharpening our saw, right?
Yes. Yes. I worked for Erler in 1984 at the Delta Valley Inn in Calgary.
I know
And
it
he
well.
was chef of the year for 3 years, and terrific guy. Learned a lot, but he was definitely old school, and
Yes.
you shook in your boots. I don't think a lot of people may know this, but when 9/11 happened and all those planes were stranded in the air,
Mm-hmm.
they all ended up landing in Canada, and all the Canadians took people in and took care of them. I
Mm-hmm.
really want others to know this, because that day I was standing at the hole at the Pentagon, and I got to help, cook for the first responders for 3 days. But Canada is such a beautiful country and such great people, and just want to say thank you to all the help on 9/11.
That's and God love you for bringing that up. And folks in Newfoundland took people into their homes. They opened spare bedrooms and put blankets on the couches and fed meals to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who came off of planes, and not just there, but also in Vancouver. At the time, I was in Vancouver when 9/11 happened, and the community opened up. We saw the planes circling overhead, and people didn't really know what was going on. And once we found out, I mean, Canadians are again good jolly hospitality folk, and we love to pitch in, and even on occasion we'll come and fight your forest fires for you. So that's
Thank you for that.
That's a great shout out, and thank you for that, Chef.
The pandemic really changed things.
I'll tell you, I said it would 5 years ago, and I said, here's what's going to happen. Folks who have a good training program, a stable business in that it has good foundations already, good people have been looked after, some people have a little bit of money in the bank, they're willing to pivot on their menu, they're willing to upskill their training. Those are the organizations that are going to make it. I wasn't wrong. Shortly after, we watched, right? I mean, even during our last show together, we saw downtown Vancouver, for example, shuttered. Broadway in Vancouver, and as you know, all the way out to Kitts, most of the restaurants shuttered. And I mean, there were some, but I was in Calgary at the time. I mean, there were shutdowns in Calgary, and then restaurants got smart and they said, but we still have access to our customers. We still have their emails. We still have their phone numbers. So they started reaching out and said, you know what? We're going to go into the kitchen and we're going to put together takeout orders, and we're going to put together packages. And if you're truly supporting us as a community, then we're going to support you. And we did that as well. I mean, one of our favorite restaurants in Calgary is called Hayden Block. And I think we were the first people in line, or one of the first 5 people in line to go and get brisket and ribs and wings. That their kitchen worked hard the night before, smoking, and we were thrilled to support. And in return, I mean, they came on as members of Real Hospitality afterwards, and we did some work with them too. It is a different world, and it showed us a lot of holes in our ideologies, a lot of holes in our philosophies of what we thought hospitality was and what it should be, or that we should keep always doing the same thing we've always been doing. And you know what I mean? That being said, we talk about training and development. I mean, that just brings to mind in regards to training and development, one of the things I've been advocating for is skills-based testing, right? Going back to the conversation about different abilities and different training within the kitchen. So when we're talking about skills-based testing, we have different literacy rates, we have different learning rates and learning differences in the US and in Canada. I won't get into numbers because they're embarrassing, for lack of a better term. The reading numbers are embarrassing, comprehension numbers are embarrassing, and not because of disability in every way, but sometimes in end results. So we end up having lots of folks coming into kitchens and into hospitality because they've been either guided in, for lack of a better term, or railroaded in through their guidance counselor at school because of challenges that they maybe have in social interactions, or challenge they have with reading, challenge they have with math. And what we as an industry need to be doing is not be gatekeeping, and what we need to be doing is what I call productivity support. So in a productivity support in this way, I mean, we need to be having conversations about, I don't need you to do the math for me or to write out how to cook this dish. What I need you to do is to show me, right? So when we're talking about skills-based testing, I think we need to be having conversations about leading that way. And skills-based testing is very simply, in the same way that you bring somebody into stage. So those are the kinds of conversations we should be having. And as a community and as an industry, we need to be having conversations about, are we still doing the same thing through all we've been doing? Are we gatekeeping school and training? I had a phenomenal conversation this week with Don Guthrow from Diced Culinary, based out of Vancouver. And this program, and I promised him I'd mention it, this program is set up so that you can virtually do your block 1 and block 2. So, I mean, that's your first 2 levels of your Red Seal. And his program's been endorsed in every single province in Canada. So the benefit of that is you don't have to go for block 1 and block 2 into a class. You work with a Red Seal chef. You do a class an hour a day, 5 days a week. And every province has endorsed this. So it's endorsed for block 1 and block 2. And when you're done your block 1 and your block 2, which many, many people don't go past, 86% of culinary students in Canada don't complete the Red Seal. But this could change that. Remote communities, folks who have challenges getting around, right? Folks who really want to get into hospitality and into cooking for the right reasons. This is a huge help. It's called Diced Culinary. Like I said, it's based out of Vancouver, and Don Guthrow is a saint for setting this up. But these are the kinds of conversations we now need to be having, because if we keep doing what we've always done, we're now not going to get the same results.
Yep. There's only a few things that benefited during pandemic, and that was plexiglass and masks and golf clubs. Golf really did well, and
right?
Golf is still doing well. The idea of going out and getting some fresh air and hitting the ball worked out well for golf and during the pandemic. So, do you want to talk about Real Hospitality?
Sure, absolutely. So Real Hospitality is an organization that my partner and I set up, and it's an endearing story as to how we got it going. I happen to have been in Steveston, which is a suburb of Vancouver, and I stopped into a restaurant, and it was a pizza shop. And I was because as you can tell, I'm a talkative fellow, and I was chatting up the owner, wonderful man named Suki, who's a dear friend today. And he and I were chatting, and I said, so, how's the business going? How are things? So we got into a pretty good conversation about, the shop and a little bit about what he knew about the industry. And then he paused me about 15 minutes into the chat, and he goes, you know what? I got to tell you. And he goes, like, I think by our conversation, you sound like you know what you're talking about. He goes, we bought this place 6 months ago. We put every penny we had, my wife and I, into this. We took a mortgage out on the house. We used the kids' education fund, and everything in here is broken. When we bought it, they gave us nothing but a recipe. We don't know the right suppliers. I don't know who to call to get a damn thing fixed. Nothing. And I walked away from that conversation thinking, how many other restaurateurs are in that position? And then the rest of it, I thought, well, you know what? At that point, 28 years of being in hospitality, I have a few connections. So what I wanted to do was get something set up where we could start to help operators, and we could be a networking opportunity and a community where we would support and help. If something didn't show up on their order truck, or if they needed a better pricing on something local, better pricing on garbage removal, help with training and development, connecting with the right, the right supplier, the right person to come and clean the hood fans, all of those things, which the local and national organizations weren't doing. They have memberships and they do things with the memberships, but that wasn't it. So that's really how Real Hospitality got started. And eventually it turned into Real Hospitality Live, which, my good man, you came on and worked with us twice, which was amazing. And one of my proudest moments, I shit you not. So we have had different variations of Real Hospitality over the years. And we did take a break in what Real Hospitality was over the last several years in putting into this dive into sustainable workforce development, because the conversations I was having, the really meaningful conversations, were about workforce. Many conversations I have are about, as a matter of fact, I had one 2 weeks ago with a general manager, and he said, you know what, I would love to have the best restaurant in the city, but I'm super busy running this restaurant. My managers are great with numbers and departments, but they're not great at training and development. So we won't get there until that happens. I'm having more and more conversations, and have been, about, working with staff, working with folks in the kitchen, how to find the best job for them. And I'll give you an example. One of the first cases that I worked with when I started working with this federal program to support cooks, there was a young man who was in an employment program in Prince Edward Island, and they had put him into the dish pit. He was an autistic young man, and they were going to just keep him a little bit longer, maybe another week or two, because they had a wage subsidy set up to help him out. And they said, he's not working out. He's not working out in the dish pit. Now, we all know, anybody who's watching this who's worked in the restaurant, the dish pit is not the easy place to go in to do the job. It's not. So
front line.
You're right. Those are your frontline military, right? And that's not always the best place for somebody who's, perhaps has a challenge with focus, or perhaps is super social, and if they're not having a interaction at work, they're not able to bring their best self. They're not able to do their best work. So we had a conversation with the owner. I said, why isn't this gentleman in the prep? Because this seems like a better place for him, not in a high volume, high pressure, high stress place like the dish pit. And they agreed to move him into prep, and he thrived. So it's a simple conversation like that in getting somebody into the right spot. And the same conversation I had with this GM I was talking about, we were talking about, why does it always have to be that somebody's going to come in and do an 8-hour shift with 6 tables? Maybe you're going to get somebody who can come in who is going to do an amazing job and make the same amount of money or twice as much money on 4 tables and a 5-hour shift or a 4-hour shift. And we need to be having these kinds of conversations. And again, I'll use a hockey analogy, which will make you smile. Because when we put people on the ice, we don't run them for 8 hours. We don't run them for the whole game. We put them out, and then we change them out for fresh legs. And we put them out and we change them out for fresh legs, so that they're rested and they're at their best, and their skills are prevalent and they're there. Why are we not doing that in our industry? Because we have the opportunity to do it. All we need to do is change our mindset and how we approach to create sustainable workforce development. And in that, we are sustaining retention. So we're keeping people. We're making them interested. We're having conversations about their strengths. We're supporting them. We're coaching them. And that is really how we're going to expand, and we're going to grow this industry, and we're going to keep it through working with generations, through working with productivity supports, through working with different cultures. And these are the conversations that I'm having through workshops and through consultations with operators, chefs, and groups all around the world and across the country.
Yeah, we could really drill down on the putting people in the right seat on the bus, and
Yeah.
looking at your roster, and going back to the steward, talk about a tough job. That is the number one tough job, and I've always said I'm a underwater ceramic technician with 50 years of experience, and I go over there and help them, and it's loud and messy and hard work, and
Yep.
it's we like to have fun while we work, and lose tight properties, know your stuff, and have fun and be relaxed. Sometimes it's tough to be relaxed in that department because there's so much work to do.
I more times than not, if I'm having a night where I just don't want to talk to other humans, I'll go over and say, go take a break.
Yeah.
Go take 20 minutes. And I'll jump in, and every time I ruin a pair of shoes or a watch, but I will jump in, and that is the place where nobody will bother you. Guaranteed. If you go to the office, people will bother you. If you go on the floor, people will bother you. If you go on the line, people will bother you. If you go in the dish, nobody will bother you.
Yeah, you're right. They leave you alone.
You're not kidding.
It's really therapeutic too. After all these years, I started in the dish area in 1976, and next year will be 50 years, and I've never thought about doing anything else. And I think we're just fortunate to be able to help others. And what you're saying is really what makes me tick, is just to go and help others. And there are a lot of people that need help, and a lot of very appreciative people that like the knowledge and to be helped. It's very rewarding.
Chef, you and I have known each other for a while, and I know a lot about how you work. And the one thing I know is, outside of your very well-deserved fame, is your very well-deserved notoriety and how you work with people, and how you go through Canada, and how you go through the kitchen and do stops and checks and motivate and make sure that people are okay, and they know that you're there, and they know they can count on you being there. People will stay for that. People will take up arms for that. And people will really come with their best work for that. And I have kept that in mind ever since you and I met. And we had a conversation about this on my show. And I have the utmost respect for that. And I talk about that. As a matter of fact, I talk about you in talks as well, in that way, that is really how you support. Many times we have conversations about what I love to call seagull management: fly in, shit on people, and leave. But if we're truly talking about leadership in hospitality, it is an inverted support, right? Our job is to learn how we can best support the next people. And if that's an assistant manager, or if that's a supervisor, make sure that they have the tools to support the next people, the next people, the next people. It's never this way in reality. It's always from the ground up, so that we are supporting different levels. But whether we are the GM or the executive chef, or we're the sous, or we're the supervisor on the floor, or even the server who's working with the busser, we are the next person to show them, or to be their support, to make sure that they can do their job in the best possible way. And when we're talking about learning how people learn, or learning how different cultures are, and learning how people best work, I mean, I use you as an example.
Well, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Absolutely. I say I'm only halfway there.
Right? That's your
here.
Canadian blood keeping you look young, man.
I feel I got a lot of energy, got a lot of purpose, and physically fit. I went through a little bit of a bumpy ride, but made it out okay. I lost my taste buds for 5 years, which kind of messed me up a little bit, but I'm back, and I love what I do, and I love people and food, and it's simple. Things don't have to be complicated. You teach people how to do their job well. If you make everybody 10% more efficient, you typically make your team 100% more efficient. So you just go around and help others, put them in the right place, put them in the right seat on the bus, and you go for a ride. And you got to have fun. It's it's an art and a science. The science is very important to know your time and temperature. But when it comes down to it, cooking is really from the heart. And this show is Cook with Your Heart. And I don't know if I've shared that with you, but I was at a pretty decent restaurant in DC 10 years ago. And I ordered a dish and it came out and I looked down at it and I was just underwhelmed. It looked, and I said this, it came right out. It looks like a robot cooked it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no love.
Right.
And I've always said cook with your heart, because if you give a recipe to 10 different people, you can tell the people that really care and cook with their heart.
Absolutely. I came out with this several years ago, and my philosophy on hospitality is sales, manufacturing, and love. We have sales because we need to have a story. We need to have conversation about where does the ingredients come from. And when we're talking to servers and bartenders and folks who are at the front of the house, they need to know the story. They need to know how to talk about the food, the experience, the atmosphere. What's the story of the establishment and the organization? You don't have to, nobody has to recite a book, but there's something there to talk about. And when we talk about hospitality, we should be excited as though our own grandma had made the food or our best buddies had made the food. When I'm at a table, I say, this is a dish where we brought in the mushrooms from here and the beef from there, and the cooks worked, for hours to marinate this and to make sure it's seasoned just right. And it's going to blow your mind. That's the kind of conversation at the table, right? That creates engagement. It creates an experience. It's excitement. That's the thing that people are going to remember when they leave. And as Brandon Steiner said on my show, everybody's favorite restaurant is their last best experience. And we want to have that conversation about the best experience and engagement. We talk about manufacturing, right? I mean, as you say, it looks like a robot made it. But in the back of the house, we're also saying, okay, did we portion this right? Did we put the right amount? Are we making this consistent so that the next time this person comes or the other person at the table is getting the same dish? So we say sales and manufacturing, but none of this happens without love. And so love for the product, love for the industry, love for the people, love for the welcoming people into our home, and really being hospitable about who we are. I'm 38 years in this business in so many ways, right? I mean, I started out as working in the kitchen, and then at the age of 16, I was an apprentice baker. And from there, I've gone from I owned and opened my first restaurant at 24. I've owned a franchise group. I've worked for almost every major group in some way in the country, or consulted. I've opened well over 30 restaurants across the country, and my favorite part is the training and development. And in many cases, it's in store openings, but is 100% in the training development and really inviting people to share in what my philosophy of hospitality is, which is the love of hospitality. So, I love welcoming people into my home.
And it is be the lighthouse, not the tugboat.
Be the lighthouse, not the tugboat. And that comes from, if you are the server, be the lighthouse. Welcome people to the dishes. Welcome people to the environment. Same thing as a manager. If you're a manager and you're showing people how to do this, they too will follow your vernacular. Same thing in the kitchen, right? We've worked in nightmare kitchens, but I've worked in kitchens where they're incredible, right? And the people who are leading those incredible kitchens were never the ones dragging people through it. Mm-hmm. They were always the ones showing the example of how to best do this in the right way with the least amount of stress, let's just say, and the least amount of resistance, right? So be the lighthouse, not the tugboat, is exactly about be the example of what you want your employees to be doing and how you want them to be doing it. So, and so many people that I talk to, and it's unfortunate. So we have great examples of this industry, but we have so many examples where, we talk to a manager, I only hire people with experience. Okay, but they're not experienced in your environment. So are you going to train them? No, I hire them so I don't have to train them. I see. So you're missing that complete step. Or I only hire young people because they have more energy. That's a quote that somebody put on a post of mine the other day, which really drove me. Then you're missing lived experience, right? If you're missing out on folks who have experience in wine pairing or in seasoning of food, or how to best prepare something, or how to best marinate it, or how to best even store it, or even set up your mise en place, right? These are conversations that are had with experienced people. So when we're talking about cross-generational training, we have to have a mix through there. Otherwise, we're missing people who are experienced, we're missing energy, we're missing, great leaders, and we're missing people who are interested in supporting their people. There's different kinds of managers within our industry. Some of them are great at numbers, but they're not great at people. Well, they should stay with the numbers and not be working with the people. You need to have somebody who's great at working with the people. Otherwise, you're missing the boat. You're never going to be the great restaurant. You're never going to be the longevity place, right? And you're never going to be the place where people want to come and stay. You end up with churn.
Sustainability is so important. And, it's tied right to culture.
Yeah.
Every bit of it. I hired a lot of people just based on their attitude, because I could teach them anything.
Sure, absolutely.
And I had a server in DC that he was from Canada. I hired many people, but he was 70. His name was Cliff.
Awesome.
And he wore shorts to Potomac Landing. And I've got he typed it on his typewriter, a little review, a little recommendation that he wrote about me.
Yes.
This guy, he wanted to work at Potomac Landing because, great things we were doing, but because it was close to the airport. And he would fly back and forth to Ottawa like every week. And he was just the kindest, nicest guy. And, he worked really hard because we were very busy. We did things there that, we were in the National Restaurant News for hitting the mother load. It was Mother's Day, and we did 2,500 for Mother's Day, 5 different seatings. He was busy running, and he had such an amazing attitude, and he was 70 when I hired him. Awesome. And I love that guy. I saw him at a local store and just gave him a hug. I just saw him. He went up right up and gave him a hug. But nice. I hire people mostly on their attitudes, and I'd rather start from the ground up, everything, because there's so much detail in what we do, and to communicate what your thoughts are and where we are, going as a team, but turning a place around. I was just delighted to see the culture that's in place at my new club, and just everybody's so excited, and we have so many amazing things already, and I just say it's a great foundation to build on. We have a member that has beef, and it's incredible. He has lamb and pork, and I'm really going to be excited to work with him. Awesome. And produce a whole program. I go back to this farm to table back in the early 90s at the Ashby Inn, and I've always stuck to that because seasonality is so important in what we do. The best ingredients, the best quality, the best flavor, the best price. You just work seasonally, and I'm rolling out the new menu on October 1st. It's a little warm down here in Georgia, but it'll be fall, October 1.
There you go. Even talking about customer service and operations. So I was a corporate chef for 85 locations for a restaurant group out of Vancouver. And I happen to have been riding in the car with the owner of the organization, who's a great guy, salt of the earth. And he was telling me about bonuses for franchisees. And we were talking about sales bonuses, and it's a pizza group, and how different managers would get different bonuses based on how much product was moved through the organization. And the organization's been around for, I think it's now 30 years. And he was very excited about this conversation. He was going to tell me about these great bonuses that were going to come, and they were going to put money into marketing, and they were going to put additional efforts into production. And I said, your problem isn't your food, it's not your stores, it's not your production, it's not your marketing, it's that your customer service sucks. You have 85 stores and the customer service is atrocious. It's atrocious. And I said, if you really want to be having an intelligent, serious conversation about bonuses for management and bonuses for franchisees and bonuses for people who work in production, is that your route that you've been doing for 30 years isn't working. You have to be having a conversation with your franchisees, with your front of house people in your QSR stores about customer service. And I don't mean just saying hi. These people need to be educated about the product. They need to be excited about the product. They need to taste the product. They need to give recommendations about their favorite thing. They need to be talking about different combinations that you have, as opposed to just pointing to the board or, oh, okay, and then just giving the food across the counter. And I had this same experience last night, which is why I'm bringing it up, because I went and ordered pizza for my kids. If that's missing, and my point is, it doesn't matter if you've had a great product, 85 stores have been doing this for 30 years. Nobody's getting a bonus. You're getting what you're getting based on convenience, and that convenience and price. And you can only race to the bottom for so long on price. And convenience is really an illusion. I would rather go out of my way. And for example, I go to one Tim Hortons restaurant in town, and the people who run the counter are ladies of a particular age, not below 50. Their service is amazing. They always recommend something, and they tell you when there's something new. Hey, have you tried this? I tried it. It was really, really good. That is what's going to keep people coming back. That's what's going to get people bonuses. That's what's going to make successful longevity. And that is exactly the kind of thing that keeps retention in your workforce too, right? Because they're learning something. You're not just hiring them and saying, there's a cash register, here's how to punch stuff in. QSR has fallen so far in service level. And I'm not sure if it's the same in America, but I will tell you, in Canada, it has dropped to, it's not a matter of raising the bar, it's a matter we got to pick it up off the ground. And we need to be having these conversations about customer experience. That's what's going to change your business. That's what's going to change your retention. And that's what's going to make sure that your franchisees don't run out of money. So going back to philosophy, right?
I hate to say it, but I had a very bad encounter at it was a contract that a group has, and we're only there for a few days. And the two cashiers argued in front of my son, my 10-year-old son, about what they should ring the pizza up as. It was a big box. If you open it up, it was a little pizza. and I was appalled. I just, stood there, couldn't believe the language that they were using. And wow. And I reached out to the location and never heard back.
No.
And that's sad. And that happens all too often.
Yeah.
As leaders go, the higher up you are in an organization, the better you can position yourself and your staff to do the right things right. And when it doesn't happen, just keep trying, just keep working with people. But take opportunities to learn and use them to help others. And there's all kinds of examples. It's every day,
Yeah.
wherever you go, there you are. And you can see opportunities to do better and just help others. But what you mentioned about Tim Hortons is passion, and love. And we have that here in the States as well. But Canada is full of lovely people. And I'll be up soon. I'll be up to say hi soon.
Well, you gotta.
Yeah.
You got it. My hope is that you can get back across the border without any issues.
I got no problem there.
With Real Hospitality, one of the things that I had lots of conversations with operators was very much, because the operators oftentimes get into opening a restaurant and they don't necessarily know where to start beyond, maybe getting a loan or they've got a good recipe. And having these conversations about operations and having these conversations about, training your staff, and this is how you retain them. And these are the conversations you have with your suppliers and creating community in a real way where, we can learn from somebody else in our restaurant community or hotel community. That is how we really keep this industry from being, but the worst business to get into is a restaurant. Well, the worst business to get into is a restaurant, because we have culinary schools. Great. We've got hospitality management schools. Great. But the reality of running an organization is never putting out one fire. It's 1,000 little things, right? And if we look at it from a hospitality point of view, everything else is just details, right? If we're creating the experience and we're creating energy and we are putting our heart into the product and we're having good relationships with our suppliers. And oftentimes we don't have good relationship with our suppliers because we're grinding them for a price, or we're, grinding them for delivery times, or these kinds of conversations. Those people are customers too. And somebody taught me that a long time ago after I had told somebody off, which was when I wore a younger man's clothes and was a mean son of a bitch. And I grew out of it. Right. And I had this conversation with a fellow the other day too. I said, and I was a bastard when I was a younger manager, but I thought that that's how you were supposed to do it because that's who I worked under. And I learned through lived experience, and I learned through working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the years, and through teaching people that, your suppliers are customers and their family are customers. Right. And they are part of your community. They're not your enemy. And the more that we create a community within this industry, which is, as you well know, but is the largest employer on the planet. Hospitality is the largest employer on the planet. We have an opportunity to have a voice. We have an opportunity to have community. We have an opportunity to have advocacy, in that we can, create a better community where we're supporting each other, or we create a community where we're supporting our suppliers, and we're causing retention. We're having real conversations about how are we training. And are we training to industry standard? Are we, training for longevity? And are we training for inclusion? These are the kinds of conversations that really we should be having in a more open way, right? Because I don't know how many times a week I hear, don't get into restaurants, or restaurants bad investment, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
It's tough. It really is tough now. But when you love what you do, you can make it work. And, you're training your vendors is right up there with, some of the most important aspects of what we do. Relationships with vendors has to be up and on the table. We need help. People in the business, my formula has always been a penny saved is a penny earned. I've got a lot of different sayings, the one with food cost. It's, your food cost is like a bottle of shampoo, maybe I got a little less hair now, but you use 4 times as much shampoo as you do when you first get that bottle.
Right.
But when you get down to the bottom, you're using a dime's worth, right?
Right.
And you use just what you need to do the job. And, that's food cost. So food cost, you want to do well so that you can reinvest into your menu and take care of people, better quality, better seasonality, better ingredients, better value. Having value in a menu is free advertisement. It brings people back in. They, like you said, they're thinking about their next visit, so
Oftentimes
all
I think
have
that I think that when we're having conversations about portioning and putting systems in place, and as you use your shampoo bottle analogy, which you've told me before and I've used many times. I'm a lifelong learner and I take mental notes. My pet peeve in any restaurant is cutlery roll-ups. I hate them with a passion. I hate that servers are using company time to roll them. As a customer, I probably 50% of the time go to open one and I drop something, or one of my kids does and it ends up on the floor, et cetera, et cetera. If you have your staff, your front of house staff, rolling these things and you're paying them an extra hour or an extra 30 minutes, stop it. Put the damn cutlery on the table. Have these people go in the back and portion fries, portion pasta, portion carrots. Teach them how to use a simple weigh scale. Put them to work. It is a far better use of your time and your labor. You're going to reduce the amount of waste. You're wasting the money in the front of house. Bring them in the back. Gives them an opportunity to see the kitchen in real life. Put them in the prep area, even if it's at the end of the shift or the beginning of the shift, whenever they would normally be rolling cutlery and gossiping anyway, right? Bring them to the back to portion. Put these systems in place. Get people from the front of the house into the back of the house, not just to talk about a pre-shift. Get them to taste things, get them to feel things, get them to understand why we're portioning these so that we can keep them on staff. The more we talk about how we can put these kinds of systems in place, the better we can utilize our people within the organization.
I learned this in 1985 when I was introduced to a Greek gentleman that had a restaurant in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. The food was outstanding. Mm-hmm. And the wait staff did all the prep. Mm-hmm. They did everything to set it up. It was incredible. The guy is a genius. And I learned that way back when. Just in my new club at Belle Meade, we have servers that are really good cooks. And, this is so exciting for me because the struggle to get the staff out front, their passion to get up is, it's tough. It's not easy. They're, dealing with all kinds of stuff. But when you cook the food, you're naturally passionate about it because if you're a good cook, you care about what you're doing.
Right.
You already know it. So I'm so excited. The foundation there is fantastic. We have servers that are really good cooks.
That's awesome. That means they're appreciative of the not only of the work that happens in the back house, but also the process and the love for it and the conversation about flavors. I mean, I did a server training seminar for Cisco Foods several years ago, and it was a 3-city tour. There was like 300 people in each of the rooms, and So I'm talking about return customers and how to have these conversations. And somebody pipes up from the crowd and says, "Well, we work in a members club, and they're going to come and eat at our restaurant anyway. So we just take the food up, drop it off." And I said, and again, in front of 300 people, I said, "Are you proud of that? Does that make you proud? Is your manager here? Does that make them proud? Like, are you proud of the job that you do?" I said, "I wouldn't hire you." Right? Just because you have a captive audience doesn't mean you don't have to make them feel good about coming and spending their hard-earned dollar there.
In our business, Chef, the easiest way is always the wrong way.
Right.
And then we were talking the other day, and I said, being consistent is number one,
Mm-hmm.
but being proactive is even better than that.
Yeah, that's it.
There's just keys to what we do. And, you and I now, 86 years of experience.
Right.
And we're only halfway there.
We're only halfway there. You're not kidding. I started listening to Will Guidara's audiobook from 11 Madison, and I don't follow him, honestly. I mean, I know of his organization, because of their accolades, and I know of their move to go to a plant-based menu, which was both celebrated and criticized and whatnot. And all of the things that I found that have worked over 38 years in this industry, and all the things that I found that don't work, Will talks about. And there were a few times where I had my earbuds in my ear as I'm listening to the audiobook, and I went, "Hallelujah." when he's talking about supporting others, and when he's talking about you have to learn systems and you have to learn the numbers, but don't forget that we're in hospitality. And I mean, they've done well for themselves, and he's done well for himself. And I thought, what, that having listened to that or / read that from Will was a great confirmation on all of the things that I've been so adamant and evangelical about over the years. And I thought, what, I guess what I'm talking about is right, because if he's doing it right, and Keller's doing what he's doing in the kitchen's right, and these are the things that I'm talking about, then what, we're not on the wrong path.
Yeah, we're fortunate, blessed, lead with your heart, cook with your heart,
Mm-hmm.
mentor with your heart. It's there's two things to what we do. It's food and people, and the love of both. I mean, it's I can't believe we have this great opportunity to share with everybody, and I hope everybody gets a chance to see us and shares any one little thing they learn to help others, because now is the time. Now's the time to get together and help each other out.
These are similar times, and coincidentally, we're going back 5 years to having this conversation about pandemic. We're also having, we're having different situations where other challenges are happening. When we've got Florida and many states have got record lows of tourism. These are the conversations that are going to keep people coming locally, and people who are still coming are going to keep returning. And this is all from lived experience. There is a golden nugget or two in this, in this conversation that could be the next thing that keeps that place open another year, or that keeps their good people on, or keeps their supplier from jacking the price, or from even just not working with them because they're not ordering enough. So there are many challenges, and a lot of those challenges are similar to what we had 5 years ago during COVID. And I would say to anybody who's an operator who's watching this, don't be afraid to make changes. Don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to learn from, what's working and what's not working. And just because we've always done it one way is not necessarily the gospel. So I would say there are some really great nuggets of supporting your staff, of supporting your community, of creating great environment and great engagement that will carry your business through hard times.
And maybe most of all, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Right? I have no filter. And some people say that, but I have no filter in that. As a lifelong learner, as somebody who wants to learn new things from people, ask. Just ask. Pick up the phone and ask, or fire off an email and ask for help or support, or, hey, do you know? Right? Again, that was the whole premise of starting Real Hospitality Network. Having somebody to ask that question of. And through that, we grew Real Hospitality to 10 countries. And through Real Hospitality Live, took the gumption and courage and lack of filter to ask, world famous Chef Duane Keller onto my show, which was a huge bump. I asked, Brendan Steiner to come onto the show from Yankee Stadium. Huge bump, right? Grant Cardone, who's undercover billionaire, Mr. 10X trainer, came on the show twice. They didn't necessarily know who I was at the time, but I asked for help. And I said, you know what? We're going, even when I asked Grant specifically, I know you and I know our conversation, but even when I asked Grant Cardone to come on, I messaged him and said, we're going through a hard time as an industry and would really use, somebody of your caliber to help to motivate operators. And he said, let's do it. I'll set it up. Here's the number for my assistant. Away we go. And I just about fell over. But if we ask people to come and support our cause and come and share what their lived experience is, we're all going to be better for it. And as you say, wherever you go, there you are. Don't be afraid to ask.
I will donate my time and my talent to any cause that will help others. We did a little cooking up at Lake Joe, did a whole meal around a piece of Kobe, and there were wonderful Canadians, 10 of them, flew in on their helicopters to enjoy a meal. One of the gentlemen was global. His account was Fairmont Hotels VP of Food and Beverage Global, and super nice guy. So I'm out there, I did this whole dinner with around this Kobe, and I'm out there. I've never seen it rain like that off of the lake.
But of course, right?
We got a lot of pictures, but nobody got the picture of Adam Graves holding up the umbrella while I was cooking this Kobe for 30 seconds on each side. He said that he had Kobe many times in Japan and it wasn't as good. But nice. We ended up raising, I think it was 1.5 million for the Smile Zone. And what a incredible day playing golf with 300 Stanley Cup champions. And I'm looking to do something this next year as a just to help others in hospitality. And I've got my Julia Child's 90th birthday chef coat I'd like to donate.
I have to ask, and I was holding my breath to actually wait to ask. That of all of your achievements, of all of the presidents and celebrities and royalty and everybody that you have had the great honor to cook for and work with, Julia Child's 90th birthday, you have to tell me, how the hell did that come about? Not that I'm discounting that they asked you, but wow.
Yeah, there was 30 of us in the kitchen, and it's just simple math. You got 9 courses, 150 people, wine dinner. If anybody can find that on PBS, please, I've yet to see it. It was 2001, I think, and just incredible, 90 years old, and what she had done for culinary and women. Just incredible story. Wherever we can help, I'm there, you're there. This is just an incredible honor to be asked to be on the hospitality nexus and to help others. But I'm sincere. I live to help others, and I may have gotten poked in the chest the whole way around the golf course by Ty Domi, but and I took a lot of bruises. But I helped a lot of people, and it felt good, and that's what I'm all about.
Love it, Ty Domi. A great hockey player, but if he poked me in the chest, I might have to just stop golfing and leave, because I'm not picking a fight with that guy.
He said, make sure you tell all your friends that I only lost one fight out of 256 NHL fights, and that was Probert.
Right?
Yeah.
I saw that. It was ugly.
Jason, you are an incredible individual that helps so many others, and you're my Swiss Army knife of hospitality. Thank you for being here on the first debut of the Keller Chronicles, and I will have you back for sure.
It's been my great honor and great pleasure, and thank you, my good friend. Thank you from my heart.
Thank you for being part of the Keller Chronicles. Cook with your heart. Join us in the Hospitality Nexus to keep the conversation going. And until next time, remember, every meal is a chance to share love, and every day is a chance to make a difference.